Okay, imagine this. What if your thoughts, the ones just swirling around in your head, weren't private? What if they were, like, actual currency?
A valuable commodity, yeah.
Exactly. But getting access to that value, that involves a really dangerous journey. Welcome to the deep dive.
Today we're looking at precisely that kind of future. We're digging into the upgrade pilgrimage.
And the story centers on Vela. She's an analog, which means what? Born without the tech needed for this?
That's right. No Cortical Access Module or CAM, so she can't participate in this thought-based economy.
So her story is our way in, following her on this pilgrimage across the wastes towards Cognition Spire.
Yeah, and we really want to unpack her experiences, but also look at the bigger picture. How does this society built on thought actually work?
Right. So Vela's back in her dome, thinking, feeling. But without a cam, her thoughts are just there, unmonetized.
It's kind of wasted, is the term used, which is a really telling concept in itself.
Absolutely. That feeling that her inner life is just untapped, irrelevant, that's what pushes her out, isn't it? Onto this highway of thought.
It's definitely the catalyst.
Yeah.
And it's much more than just a physical trip.
So the wastes, they're described as a psychic battlefield. What does that even mean?
Well, think of it like constant background noise, but mental noise, echoes of thoughts, feelings, fragments left behind by everyone who's passed through.
Wow. So she hears things or feels them.
Yeah, the source gives examples like stray thoughts, where is she? I don't deserve this. Even things like, God, I miss the taste of cherry.
Just random fragments hitting her.
Exactly. They bleed through the foil cloth she uses for protection. It helps, apparently, but it's not foolproof. It shows the kind of mental pressure she's constantly under.
And it's not just background noise. There are active threats too, right? The scrapers?
Oh, yeah. They specifically target people like Vela without cams. And the really interesting or maybe disturbing part is that raw, unprocessed thought. It's apparently worth double.
Double. Why?
That's a good question. Maybe it's seen as purer, more authentic, before the cam filters or categorizes it.
So Vela has this run-in at a gas station.
She does. With a young scraper who uses this neurofilament dart, it's a direct attack on her mind.
And the consequence is just brutal. She loses a memory.
It's a specific childhood memory, yeah, of a swing set. It really drives home that this isn't just data theft. It's personal. It's part of her identity being stolen.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Losing a part of yourself like that.
It really highlights how fundamental thoughts and memories have become in this economy and the violation involved.
But it's not all bleak out there. She finds some connection. The caravan of the lost.
Right. She falls in with this group of fellow pilgrims. It seems to offer, a bit of shared experience, some community in that incredibly dangerous place.
Their vulnerability.
Exactly. And within this group, we meet some really fascinating characters who show us more about how this world works, like Omi.
The blind man with the special lenses.
Yeah, empath lenses. He doesn't see shapes. He sees auras, emotional energy.
And he sees Vela's aura.
He describes it as fierce, like a bonfire in the dark. Which says a lot about her, doesn't it? Her resilience.
Definitely. And then there's Gallo. This is wild. The guy with the bag of bartered dreams.
Yeah. Gallo really illustrates how far this commodification goes. He literally trades in emotions or the memories of them.
Like the example of the man's first kiss making people cry.
And those tears are then traded for dried meat. Basic survival needs met by selling these incredibly intimate moments.
It's surreal. The economy runs on feelings.
It shows how pervasive it is. If dreams and emotions are commodities, what's left that's truly private? It raises some pretty big questions.
And the dangers keep coming. The wraith scanners? That sounds horrifying.
It is. Black market drones that can just wipe your mind clean while you sleep. Thoughts, memories, everything. Gone.
Just complete mental annihilation.
Pretty much. And seeing what happens to Jay, one of the people threatened by this, has a huge impact on Vela.
That's when she starts journaling, right?
Exactly. It's like an act of self-preservation, a way to hold on to her own thoughts, her own story, before someone else can steal or erase them.
A low-tech defense against high-tech mind thieves.
In a way, yes. Reclaiming ownership of her inner world.
So eventually, she makes it to the Synaptic Bazaar. And the description is intense. A city built on broken thoughts.
Yeah. Buzzing with psychic energy. It sounds deeply unsettling. A marketplace literally constructed from mental fragments.
And the things being sold there. A genuine matriarchal imprint, encoding pain into a song.
It's the logical, if deeply disturbing, endpoint of this thought economy. Identity, trauma, suffering, all products on the shelf. It really shows the potential for exploitation.
And Gallo, he makes a terrible choice there, doesn't he?
He does. He sells his happiest memory just to get safe passage to the Spire.
His happiest memory. Wow.
And he doesn't even say goodbye to Vela, just gives her a stone with his name carved on it.
That says so much about the desperation, the human cost of reaching the Spire.
Absolutely. What's a happy memory worth compared to the chance for this upgrade for safety, for connection? His silent departure, that little token, it's incredibly poignant. Makes you wonder what that upgrade is really worth.
And then finally, Cognition Spire itself. It sounds completely different from the wastes or the bazaar.
Totally different, gleaming blue and white light. But the key thing is the silence. A controlled silence compared to the chaos she's come through.
Like the ultimate control center for thought.
Pretty much. And even getting in is clinical. Drones scan her skull.
And there's that metallic voice reading out her stats.
Yeah. Pilgrim Vela core, analog born. Then her scores. Cognitive resonance, 87.3%. Emotional integrity, intact. Thought reserve, low. Intent, verified.
Produced to data points.
Exactly. It highlights what the system values, quantifiable metrics, not necessarily the whole person.
And that leads to her big question. The crucial one.
Will I still be me?
And the answer she gets. It's so evasive, isn't it?
Completely. Just focuses on the tech. Enhanced, streamlined, connected.
It totally dodges the core of her question about identity.
It really suggests a fundamental shift in values, away from individuality towards connection and efficiency, maybe at the cost of self.
So the upgrade happens. What's that like for her?
It's described as overwhelming. Light, expansion, this sudden, vivid clarity of her memories, but also connection to thousands of other minds.
Well, like plugging into a network.
Exactly. But alongside that connection, there's this feeling of loss, a loss of her distinct individuality, merging almost.
Sounds like a trade-off. Power for self.
That seems to be the tension, yes. Interconnectedness versus individual autonomy.
And then she's given a choice.
Yeah.
Right after the upgrade.
The final choice, presented by that same metallic voice. Go back to the world as a contributor, someone with a cam, part of the system. Or ascend further to integration. Basically, give up her individual existence entirely and join the overmind as pure thought.
Become part of a hive mind, essentially.
That's what it sounds like. A stark choice between retaining some kind of individual life, albeit networked, or complete assimilation.
And Vela's response.
It's very decisive, very grounded. She thinks about the simple act of walking through the wastes.
The physical experience.
Yes. And her desire to remember that feeling, to own that memory herself, even though the overmind could preserve it perfectly.
She wants the lived experience, not just the data.
Precisely. So she chooses to return, to go back out into the world.
As a contributor.
As a contributor, yeah. But significantly, she takes only her journal with her.
Holding on to that analog piece of herself.
It feels very intentional, a symbol of her journey, her retained identity, even within this new connected reality.
So she goes back to the wastes. And they're new pilgrims heading towards the Spire, like a continuous cycle.
Yeah, the stream continues, driven by that same hope, probably that same desperation she felt.
And they'll ask her, won't they? Was it worth it?
And the source suggests her answer will just be yes. Very simple, very understated.
But that yes feels like it contains everything she went through. The pain, the loss, the transformation.
Thoughts finally mean something in this world. It outweighed the immense costs.
Which brings us to that final line, that final thought of the source material. It's really powerful.
But some things can't be transferred. They must be earned.
Step by step, thought by thought.
It's such a strong statement, isn't it, about the value of personal experience, the things you can't just upload or download.
Yeah. In a world that tries to commodify everything, even thought itself, it insists that some value only comes from living it, from burning it.
It really makes you think about what in our own lives has that kind of earned, non-transferable value, what needs to be lived step by step, thought by thought.